Okay, so divisions of the Bible. We have the divisions here, okay? Because you know we like to rightly divide the Bible. Now, these technically aren't the proper dispensations that you attribute verses to, but it's still good to know which book goes with which book. The first division, we start with the Old Testament and the books of the law. So, these books we know, this is Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. Okay, of course, these are the 5 books written by Moses. Next, we go on to the history. And these are the books that represent the history division of the Bible. So we have Joshua, Judges, Ruth, 1 Samuel, 2 Samuel, 1 Kings, 2 Kings, 1 Chronicles, 2 Chronicles. Then we have Ezra, Nehemiah, and Esther. Okay? So in the first books of the law, of course, it dealt with creation, and then, of course, the Jews and leaving Egypt and going to the Promised Land. And then Joshua picks up after that, and it continues on with the Judges, and then we start with the line of David, which obviously leads to Jesus Christ, and then the various kings in Judah and Israel at the time, and then what followed up afterwards. Next, we reach the books of poetry. And the first book of poetry is the book of Job. Then we have Psalms, Proverbs. Then we have Ecclesiastes, a book that I still can't pronounce properly. And of course, we have the Song of Solomon, or the Song of Songs. And these represent the books of poetry. Next on, we have here the major and the minor prophets. Starting with the major prophets, we have, of course, Isaiah, and of course, Jeremiah, Lamentations, right? And we could put an asterisk there because it could be considered like a poetry book, but you know, since Jeremiah wrote it, it'll be under the major prophets. And of course, we have Ezekiel and Daniel. And those are the major prophets, okay? Next, of course, is the minor prophets. Now we try to go through this one quickly. Hosea, Joel, Amos, Obadiah, Jonah, Micah, Nahum, Habakkuk, Zephaniah, Haggai, Zechariah, and Malachi. Okay? So these are the minor prophets. And in total, if you add up all the books in the Old Testament, you'll get 39. Now on to the New Testament. And of course, the first thing we see here is the Gospels. Okay, and we all know there are 4 Gospels. We have the Gospel according to Matthew, Gospel according to Mark, according to Luke, and of course according to John. Now, for history, we have possibly the loneliest book in the entire Bible, and that's the book of Acts, all alone by itself. Right? We know that the Gospels were the account of when Jesus Christ was on this earth, and Acts represents the Acts of the Apostles, or rather, what they did after he resurrected. Okay? Now we get to the Pauline epistles. And we have the book of Romans, 1 Corinthians, okay, 2 Corinthians, Galatians, Ephesians, Philippians, Colossians, then of course 1 Thessalonians, Second Thessalonians, then 1 Timothy, 2 Timothy, Titus, and Philemon. So we know that the Pauline epistles are the doctrine that we follow mostly, because this is the doctrine of the Christian church. And it's separated from the general epistles, which has multiple applications. It could be both for the church and even for end times as well. Okay, so we have the general epistles, and we have Hebrews. We put a little asterisk by Hebrews. Why? Because we believe that Paul wrote Hebrews, so that would make it a Pauline epistle, but it doesn't fit in with the rest, which is for the church age. Okay. Next we have James, 1 Peter, 2 Peter, 1 John, 2 John, 3 John, and Jude. And next we have probably another one of the most lonely books. That is the book of prophecy in the New Testament, the book of Revelation. Okay, and if we add up all of these, we will get 27 books, which means in total there are 66 books in your King James Bible. So just to refresh, in the Old Testament we have the books of the law, of history, we have the books of poetry, and the prophets, major and minor. In the New Testament we have the Gospels, the book of history, the Pauline epistles and general epistles, and finally the book of prophecy, as in the book of Revelation.